What is going on, YouTube bro? This is Sizzle here, back with another video. This is actually going to be a shorter, condensed video of the video that I previously posted regarding my hair transplant journey. The other video I posted was an hour and 13 minutes long, and I realized that that's probably way too long, and not everyone has time to watch a video that long. If you have questions, though, I do recommend watching that other video first, or feel free to ask your questions here, and I'll answer it. I received 2 hair transplant procedures, both from Ziering Medical in the New York City office, both for 1,500 grafts, focusing on the frontal region of my head. The first one was done March 18, 2021. That one was done by Dr. Calder, and the second one was done on March 8, 2022, and that one was done by Dr. Boucher. Before my hair transplant journey, just very briefly, I'm 36. I've been balding since my early 20s. My father has some thinning around the frontal region and crown like I do. However, his thinning is not as bad as how I have mine. He actually had a full afro when he was my age. My mom's dad also had a full afro and good density as well. So I'm not really sure where my baldness comes from, but I think it may come from my mom's side, or maybe somebody lied to me. So this is the before the hair transplant. Now this is 6 months on oral finasteride and topical minoxidol. So this is a photo of how my hair looked like on oral fin and topical minoxidol for 6 months. The photo was taken August of 2020. Now I stopped oral fin a month before, so on July 2020, and of course I had my first procedure done March 2021. I stopped oral fin because I had bad side effects, which I do break down in the other video, but I do continue to use topical minoxidol, which I would say gives me about 10% more hair growth. I started thinking about getting the hair transplant on January of 2021. As a New Year's resolution to myself, I started my research by just Googling. I looked up hair transplant clinics specializing in afro hair. Now, admittedly, I didn't do a ton of research until after the procedure, which, is really not uncommon. I chose Ziering Medical because of its great reputation, and it was very local to me here in New York City. I did consider Turkey, but ultimately I was uncomfortable with the idea because it was across the world in a different country. I scheduled a virtual meeting with Ziering in February 2021. They recommended 1,500 grafts, which they told me would give me a hairline and would also give me some coverage behind the hairline, and I booked my procedure. All right, so on the day of the procedure, I ate a good hearty breakfast, which is what they asked you to do before the procedure. I arrived at the facility 7:30 a.m. sharp, filled out medical forms. They checked blood pressure. They checked for blood pressure and pulse. Everything checked out okay. I have no pre-existing medical conditions. So I met with Dr. Calder, who was going to be my hair surgeon. He drew the hairline, which I really liked. And then a second doctor I also met, who unfortunately I don't remember her name, but she was going to be the doctor or her hair surgeon rather, responsible for extracting the grafts. So the second doctor administered the lidocaine injections and then extracted the grafts. Unfortunately, in the middle of getting the lidocaine shots, I did pass out due to my anxiety of the needles. So it wasn't the medication in of themselves. And just to get specific, I fell off the operating table, hit my head on the cabinet knob, which caused a scar. Now I was okay. I didn't have a concussion or anything like that, and we did proceed with the procedure. However, which is what I would have preferred, by the way. I did have to receive sutures for the scar that I sustained from the fall. And Dr. Calder, he was a complete professional. He took an Uber with me straight to my home, gave me his personal number, and he did check in with me. Very quickly, this is the hair care package. You get a day and night spray. They ask you to spray your grafts 2 to 3 times every hour with the sprays. You get anti-swelling pills, anti-infection pills, antibacterial ointment for the donor. You also get special shampoo for the grafts as well. All right, moving on. So uh, this is day one of the hair transplant. I thought it looked good on the first day. Of course I didn't like the scar because it's a scar, but I thought Dr. Calder did draw a nice hairline. I was worried that some grafts were planted on top of good existing hair. I thought it was going to look decent in terms of coverage because I wasn't completely bald, as you guys saw from the first slide. Now, Dr. Calder also said he packed some grafts around the scar in hopes it would cover up. And he also mentioned he would honor a second transplant to cover the scar, but not a full hair transplant. But I feel like if I did need another hair transplant, I should be able to get at least a good deal on the second hair transplant, given what happened to me in the incident. Just to give you guys a little close up of the scar, I'm sorry that the image is not so clear. Also, I did not receive PRP, but I do recommend PRP as it helps with healing effects of the hair transplant. Got the sutures removed from the scar the following day when I came in for my hair wash, which I break down in depth in my other video. So this is a face view. This is day 3. I thought the hairline looked good, especially when the temples start to grow in. Now, my second procedure, I do work on my temples. All right, so here I was a little swollen from the lidocaine coming down from my face. All right, so this is the donor area, which healed up very quickly. They did an excellent job of extracting the hair, managing the donor area, really in both hair transplant procedures. They won't leave you with a bad donor. They're very cautious about that. This is 8 days post-op. Now I'm thinking it looked pretty good here. I'm scabbed up. I'm excited. I'm doing everything they tell me to do at this point. I do order H-Scar ointment, which I applied on the scar every night on the forehead, which actually helped with healing the scar on my forehead. This is 9 days post-op. The donor's looking good, almost fully recovered. Now I did get a bit of a dull ache here and there. I would say for around like 2 weeks. I used aloe vera, which helped a lot for the donor area. Now this is how it looked like 10 days post-op. Now the scabs came off here naturally. I believe it was because of the heat from the shower. And it started to peel off like right after I took the shower. I didn't force it. It felt very natural, almost like a tan peeling off or the dry skin coming off from like being in the sun or something like that. I didn't use any instruments like a butter knife or anything like that. It looked good. I thought the coverage was looking good. I was getting pretty excited. All right, where I'm at, 32 days post-op, heading into the ugly duckling. All the transplanted hairs have shedded. Also, a lot of my native hair around the transplanted grafts was lost due to the shock loss from the procedure. But shock loss is usually temporary, and you should get those native hair back around month 6 through month 9. In terms of a routine at this point, I'm using topical minoxidol, daily biotin gummy, castor oil. Now the castor oil I do stop because it's a little too thick for my hair. All right, so 48 days post-op, not too much different, but definitely more shedding. However, the crown is darker since the hair is growing in a little bit more uniformly with the other sides of my head. Here you can see a difference between the old and new hairline. You can see where the old hairline starts and where the new hairline, or where the old hairline started, where the new hairline starts. All right, so this is where I'm at 3 months and 3 days post-op. I'm finishing up the ugly duck in here. I'm not experiencing a lot of growth at this time, but if you zoom in, you can see little sprouts around the hairline. Now, it does take around 4 months for the growth to start coming in, so I was just waiting on that. As far as the routine goes, still using the topical minoxidol, the biotin gummy, but I also started to microneedle the scalp, which Dr. Ziering actually says he did not recommend because he says it negatively impacts the hair shafts. So 5 months post-op, getting more growth here, but no hair around the scar, as y'all can see here. There was a decent amount of growth between month 4 and month 5, but a lot of light spots above the hairline. So I was worried. I texted Dr. Calder. I showed him my progress, and he mentioned that he also mentioned that he did wanted to check in with me around month 5. So thought this was a good time. I texted him and I told him, look, there's no hair around the scar. He said he basically wanted me to be patient and told me that growth was coming in. And again, he did mention again that he would honor a second hair transplant, but only for the scar. As far as the routine, topical, I actually included topical finasteride. I decided to give it a shot since oral finasteride worked great for me, but I had bad side effects. And there were studies that said that there was less of a chance of getting side effects with topical finasteride. So 6 months post-op here. Okay, so I got some more growth here in month 6. Well, biggest difference between month 5 and month 6 is that there aren't new hairs, but the existing hairs are dark and thicker, making the area look a lot denser. But yet, I'm still not happy. I felt like there should have been a little bit more coverage behind the hairline because that's what I was told would happen. Now, of course, it is just 1,500 grafts, which realistically won't give you full coverage, not even in the frontal zone. But I still felt like I was told I'd have some coverage, and to be honest with you guys, at this point, I don't believe I had more coverage. I have more coverage here than I had before my hair transplant. I don't know what y'all think. The donor looks untouched, man. Y'all can see I even formed waves on the donor. It looks full. Doesn't even look like I got a hair transplant. So that's the right side. There's the left side. Donor looks strong. Dr. Calder had mentioned that I had a strong donor with a lot of 2 hairs and 3 hairs and grafts that can be extracted in future procedures. So there's the 8 months post-op with fibers. It doesn't look bad right after the haircut, but because the front is so thin, it won't wave like my existing hair. So I guess I got the 180 waves and not the 360 waves. So there's the again, this is how I look like with fibers, and this is with low lighting, which actually looks decent with the fibers. And this is right after the haircut, so it doesn't look bad with the fibers. This is me 8 months post-op. First hair transplant. This is with no fibers. Okay, so I got some growth between month 6 and month 8, but it was apparent that there was going to be a lack of coverage at this point. So I decided I was going to email Ziering main office, really just asking about a graft count. I was thinking about a second hair transplant, but definitely not with Ziering. After I emailed Ziering Medical, though, a guy named Jeremy from Ziering had reached out to me. First, he gave me all the documentation that I asked for, and in speaking with him, he can tell I wasn't happy with the procedure, and he really wanted to make me happy. So he ended up reaching out to Dr. Ziering himself. He showed Dr. Ziering my photos, and then we scheduled an in-person consultation with Dr. Ziering for January of 2022. I met with Dr. Ziering in person in January 2022, showed him my progress. As you can see, Dr. Foucher who was another hair surgeon. He was actually present in that in-person consultation. Well, we eventually scheduled a second hair transplant for March 8th, 2022, which was actually scheduled for Dr. Foucher, which actually, honestly, it disappointed me at that time because I thought the procedure was going to be handled by Dr. Ziering. I break that down more in detail in my last video, but yeah, I wanted to know also that the second procedure was not going to be free, but I did think that it was a fair deal given what happened during my first hair transplant. In other words, I didn't pay the full price, but it wasn't free. It wasn't free. But if you guys have questions, we can hit me up and we can talk about that. 11 months post first hair transplant. Now, my barber actually thinks that the first hair transplant looked good, and he thought that they did a great job with the hairline. So shout outs to Dr. Calder. He drew a great hairline, but y'all can see, man, there's some spots. It's not terrible, but it's not. I feel like it's not the money that I paid for. Like for what I paid, it got to be a little bit better than that, right? Supplements. Okay, so topical men. So jojoba oil, I added in jojoba oil with peppermint oil, collagen, which that was a tip that I got from Good Life Joe, biotin, multivitamin. I'm probably gonna do so. I actually decided I will not use topical finasteride going forward or oral finasteride, and that's because of the side effects. Now I'm gonna probably do a separate video on my thoughts on finasteride in general. Also, I just wanted to add that I do use Nizoral shampoo, which is an antifungal shampoo with anti-DHT properties. I also do Dermaroll every about 7 to 10 days, which again I could do a separate video about. Yeah, so going into the second hair transplant, I got the second hair transplant March 8th, 2022. I got it with Dr. Foucher of Ziering Medical. I got 1,500 grafts. We focused on the frontal zone. We focused on first reinforcing the hairline, hitting the temples, and added density, which was actually my main concern. The experience was great with Dr. Foucher. He made me feel very comfortable. I think we had a similar vision as far as where we wanted the grafts to go. I didn't get nervous about the needles. It was actually a very smooth procedure, no hiccups or anything like that. The nurses were fantastic, especially Cece and Ashley. They were both very warm and caring and make you feel very comfortable. All right, so this was day one of my second hair transplant procedure. This procedure was definitely more packed grafts in light areas, where I thought as with the first procedure, grafts would just sprinkle around my head. So this was way more focused. Felt like it was more intentional as far as graft placement in the recipient area was concerned. So I was very satisfied, at least with at this point. Now, as y'all can see, I go into day three. I'm scabbed up pretty good. You can tell it was focusing on. So you can tell that this procedure really focused on the troubled areas, and honestly, I felt really good about this procedure. I felt satisfied. I felt happy with the experience overall. Um, Yeah, so as far as the next video, I'm probably gonna document 1 to 3 months, but I'm gonna do YouTube short videos in between, so definitely watch out for that. I will be posting short videos that include updates as to that time. But yeah, hopefully this is a success. I want to thank y'all for watching. I know that I kind of sped through this video, but I wanted to make a shorter condensed video compared to the last video. So, I appreciate y'all for watching up to this point. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please feel free to ask me any questions y'all have. You can also email me. My email is going to be included in the description. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.